Hi everyone. I am going to just go over some things from Macbeth Act 3 that you guys are going to be assigned the reading. I posted and then sent the No Fear Shakespeare link. So that works just like it does in class, where you have the Shakespeare on one side and then the plain English on the right. So you can challenge yourself and read the Shakespeare, or like most of you will probably do, just go right to the English. So in Act 3, Scene 1, this is where we have Macbeth asking Banquo the suspicious sounding questions. So when he says, "Oh, so are you going riding this afternoon?" Banquo's like, "Yeah, I'm going riding." And he's like, "Are you going riding like alone with Fleance?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going riding alone with Fleance." "Are you going to go riding really far away from the castle, where no one else is going to be there?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going riding really far away from the castle." So we said in class that, probably Banquo should have caught on, especially because he's kind of questioning what Macbeth is willing to do. And then in Act 3, Scene 1 is where Macbeth then he outlines in line 48 down, he outlines the reasons that he has in his mind to kill Banquo, which we know is 1, because he knows about the witch's prophecies, 2, because Fleance, his son, will be king eventually, and he says he's smart, he's noble, he's a great warrior, so he's a threat to me. And then the murderers come in, and they're just named murderers. They don't have names, which means they're kind of insignificant other than the fact that Macbeth hires them. And Macbeth is king at this point. So Macbeth could really just order the murder of Banquo, but he doesn't want it to look shady to all the people in the kingdom. So he convinces the murderers that everything that's going on in society is like, you're poor, you struggle to feed your family, and all these things are Banquo's fault. So he convinces them, and that's like line 75 through line 115. But something that is important for you guys to note is that there are 2 murderers that Macbeth speaks to during Act 3, Scene 1, and then there are 3 at the murder scene. So that's something that we'll talk about, and I'll have you guys answer a question about, like, who is this mystery third murderer? Because Macbeth only hired 2. In Act 3, Scene 2, Lady Macbeth, now we start to see a role reversal, which is when we have 2 characters and they're switching in their personality traits. So when you're reading Act 3, Scene 2, I would ask you to pay attention to the difference in Lady Macbeth and Macbeth's reactions, because Lady Macbeth is saying, let's calm down and just enjoy being king and queen. We've already done what we needed to do, and what she's speaking of is killing Duncan. And Macbeth goes on to say, we have scotched the snake and not killed it, meaning like we haven't eliminated all the threats to my throne so far. So that's a big quote. And then she says, like, let's just enjoy being king and queen. And he says, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife, in line 37. So he's just like, he's overloaded in his brain with just like the threat of his kingdom not remaining his. And he's becoming more bloodthirsty, where we see a change in Lady Macbeth, where she's saying, let's just relax. And we see a total change in her from the beginning of the play. So that's Act 3, Scene 1 and 2. And then in Act 3, Scene 3, it's a very quick one. So we see the murder of Banquo, and we see that there's this third murderer. And the third murderer questions, the first murderer says, hey, who sent you to this third murderer? And the third murderer is like, Macbeth. So they trust him or her, but we don't know who it is. And if you're watching the scenes of Macbeth, the third murderer is usually like cloaked in black, so you can't tell who it is. And then Banquo is murdered, and Fleance gets away. So that is something that is important to note. It's a very quick scene. It's hard to kind of, really understand what's happening, but Banquo screams treachery, which, means that he's been backstabbed, and he understands that. And then he says, fly, good Fleance, fly, fly. So Fleance runs away. So this poor little kid's like running away in the woods by himself. So that is Act 3, scenes 1 through 3. Just my interpretation and my analysis in case you had any questions. Okay, and the next thing we'll do is Act 3, Scene 4, which is a big one. So we'll do that completely by itself. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.